Alrighty, we should be rolling. Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Liam. If you've played with me on PokerStars, I go by the username of vibe.pokercoaching. I'm gonna be playing some poker today. I'm gonna be playing 2 tables of 100 Zoom. The reason I wanted to make this channel is mostly for myself. I'd like to just force myself to articulate my thoughts in all the positions that I get into. So I think that that's going to really help me identify my weak spots and identify where I need to be pouring in some more study time. So I'm just going to say as much as I possibly can about every single hand that I play, in the hopes of finding spots where I draw complete blanks. So I figure if anyone wants to give me some feedback on any spots that I play, or if anyone wants to listen and maybe learn a thing or two, might as well share the experience with all of you. So buckle your seatbelts and get ready for a wild poker experience. I'm not tying myself down to a schedule, but I would like to post somewhat frequently, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, but I'm not really tying myself down to anything. Let me know in the comments if there's anything I should change about the production. This is my first time recording, so I don't really know if you guys can even hear me, if the screen is black. There could be potentially a lot of issues. And yeah, that's about it. So we'll hop into the action. So versus a weaker player on table 2. My blue mark is my weaker player mark. I'm going to start off with a big bet here. I don't really care about balance when I'm playing against a weaker player. All I want to do is get the max value. I just want to do whatever my hand wants to do. And what my hand wants to do here is just bet big versus a lot of worse ace-x. Fish are notorious for playing way too much ace-x. He could be calling here with like some 8-5 suited, whatever. Gonna be doing a lot of checking on table 1. Now we river the queen. He definitely has some flush draws. We can still get some value from some worse 2-pair type hands or some ace-x, and we just want to bet small to give them a decent price to call. If we bet too big there, we're going to start isolating ourselves to just queen x and flushes. I'm going to go for the check raise here on table 1. Our range plays a lot as a check raise in this formation. Let me pull up. So we do a lot of checking on this board, and the reason for that is that while we still maintain our pre-flop advantage in the overpairs, which are all really strong hands on this board, a lot of our range is still just air. So we just have a lot of ace-high and king-high Broadway type hands that leads our range to just do a lot of checking. If we do bet, we're going to be betting for a bigger size that accommodates our overpairs. We're all very strong and want to bet while the board is nice and dry and while they're still strong hands. And we do a lot of check raising once we do check and get a bet. That spot is also notoriously overstabbed. So on table 2, we bet and get check raised. I expect him to be doing this with some flush draws, some straight draws like 9-10 that might now check, possibly some king-queen. He has some sets as well. Slightly deeper too. I was going to say, versus the jam here, I'm just going to fold. I think this is just always a flush. I don't really like my turn sizing. There's a spot I'm not sure about. Let me pull that one back up. I think I'm definitely happy with my river fold. I think it's pretty hard for him to find bluffs in that line. I think the turn is the real decision point of the hand. I think my hand is still strong enough to bet for value after he check raises. He can still have some king queen, some worse king x. He can still have some pair plus draws like 9-10. They're going to be forced to call one. But a lot of the range that we're trying to deny equity from would be his flush draws, and I don't think a small size really accomplishes that. So maybe if I could go back and play the hand again, I think maybe a bigger 75% bet makes sense, because I don't think we're reopening very wide. I think ace-king might be the bottom of what I would reopen with. And if ace-king is the bottom of what I'm going to reopen with, then a pretty big size makes sense for that. Jack-9 suited is a fold under the gun with my charts. Yeah, this was an interesting spot. The first interesting spot. So let me know in the comments how you would have played this hand. What factors you're considering. I have one rule. You're more than welcome to rail me on how I played a hand, but you gotta rail the thought process. If you're gonna tell me to play a hand differently, or why I should have played a hand differently, you have to explain what factors are going into making your decision. We rail the thought processes around here, not the... We don't want to be outcome oriented. So let me know what you think about that spot. I guess I should explain a bit about my UI. So I'm using Stars Caption and HM3 for my HUD. So the number above my icon is my random number generator, and that's what I'll use to randomize my decisions if I'm ever mixing decisions in a spot. So here my hand is going to mix between all three. Actually, I think both. And on a 65, it's mostly 4-betting, but on a 65, I'll throw it into the 4-bet. And Stars Caption is the program with all my bet sizes here. Another reason these videos are going to be good for me. So there are some people who are playing online poker. This is some pretty shocking stuff you're about to hear. What they'll do is they'll actually have their two monitors, or maybe they'll post these up on their wall or something, but they'll have their pre-flop charts right beside them while they play. I know, it's really, really terrible stuff. Now, most people, when they're unsure if they should open 10-7 suited from the cutoff on a 73 or whatever I rolled, what they'll do is they'll actually just look over at their charts and see. Now, this is just terrible cheating behavior. Obviously, I would never partake in this. But I'm learning the hard way by checking my brain instead of checking my charts. So I might make some pre-flop mistakes, is what I'm trying to say. But I gotta iron that out. I think I just have a call here on table 1. I'm not really sure what he's representing with this size. This was an interesting spot, so I'm gonna go over it after. I think I just have an easy call. And so he called small blind with ace-king. He's gonna get a mark. So in this spot, we have a very defined checking range and betting range. This flop in a single raised pot is like the epitome of when you would want to use a big size. There's lots of boards that people are getting away with range betting on. On an 81, I'm going to peel the 2s here with a club. It's a good card for our range. He doesn't have much 4x, so you should be doing a lot of checking on this turn. we're gonna hold this spot down here while we play this. So we're gonna be playing overbet or check. We just have complete unblockers, and I think with no showdown value, we want to throw our 2s into the overbet range. Any 4 is strong enough to overbet, and we're just polarizing to 4x, queen x, or a bluff here. He still has some queen x, which is what I was going to say. He definitely needs to be raising because we can still bet a 4 for this size, and we just have an easy fold with the 2s now. We want to make his medium pairs 7x and some over pairs indifferent. Okay, I just lost the other spot. This spot. On a 91, we'll peel. We have a very distinct, there's lots of boards, there's lots of flops people are just using a one size, 1/3 with range strategy on, which is good. On a lot of boards, that's going to perform really, really, really well. Even on some boards like this, even on a board like this, it'll still perform well. On the 98, I'm going to peel the 6s. I think my hand is already mixing on the flop. We're calling because he still has a lot of broadways. On this board, he wants to leverage his overpairs, like his ace-10 and jacks plus. But he still has a lot of cards like king-queen, king-jack, ace-king, ace-queen. And now we're just hoping to check and win versus ace-king or a give-up. I'm going to say that the queen is a really bad card for us. I do think I have to start turning some worse pairs into a bluff there, but I think 6s is just slightly too strong. Let me finally get back to what I was saying about this flop. On a 74, I'm going to squeeze here. I'm going to make it pretty big given that they raised 3 big blinds. Ace-queen is already a mix versus under the gun, so I'm not sure if with a squeeze it becomes a pure fold, but the button is a weaker player who I expect that I'll be playing the pot against a lot if under the gun folds. So I'm not sure if I want to be opening wider or tighter given that's the case. Okay, I'm gonna speed run. Really good board for us. Except he has 9s more than we do. I'm gonna start off with a small bet with my range. Now on the turn, he's gonna fold some 10x. He's going to fold his missed hearts. Gonna bet for small again. I think we want to bet a size that we can still bet our non-flushes for. I'm going to throw this into the 4-bet bluffing range on a 91. I kind of want to really just make him hate his life with a set. I don't want to isolate myself to the ace of spades or king of spades, which he has a lot of. There's another interesting spot. Man, 2 tables is a lot of poker to talk about. This is tough. All right, attempt 12 at talking about this flop. Lots of boards are good to play a 1/3 with range strategy on, or I'm just gonna sit out this table. My tables also automatically close over 130 big blinds. It's a stars caption feature. Just because I've only studied 100 big blind poker, I like to just stay at 100 big blinds or around 100 big blinds. We can talk about this spot now. The reason we want to be using a big bet on this board is because if you think about the types of hands that want to bet, and you think about the types of hands that quote unquote want to check in this range, there's a very clear, there are two very clear parts of our range here. Our pre-flop advantage, whenever we raise under the gun, or from any position in a single raise pot and get called, our pre-flop advantage is always going to be in our overpairs and strong Broadway region that the caller loses to his 3-betting range. On a board like this, part of that advantage, our queens, jacks, and tens, are now no longer as strong of hands because the ace and the king are out there. But our ace king, our ace queen, our kings, our aces are now very, very, very strong hands. So we have a clear part of our range that really wants to bet, ace king, ace queen, ace jack, basically a strong ace or, set that our opponent doesn't have, that just wants to pile in the money, and our opponent can't really do anything about it because he doesn't have all those strong cards. And then there's the part of our range, like queens, jacks, tens, that are no longer as strong of hands anymore, that just want to check. They just want to get to showdown. They don't really want to put more money in the pot. They're just trying to navigate and get to the river. So that's why we use a big bet or check on this board and similar boards like this. Ace queen is the same. Ace jack is kind of in a gray zone. Ace 10 is a little bit in a gray zone too. And then it fades more into kind of a 1/3 bet, more so because we're always doing checking when there's an ace. We're always doing some checking when there's an ace, just because our aces don't need protection. I'm going to avoid myself. I'm going to stop this conversation here before I go into a rabbit hole for 10 minutes and not play another hand. And we're just going to play some more hands. So 3-betting from the small blind on table 1. Just folding. I'm not going to be doing anything with Jack 10 versus this huge 3-bet. This guy's also got a pretty low 3-bet percentage. I'm just going to fold here. When he does size up, I don't think I'm going to play any calls. I think I'm only going to be 4-betting in that spot. Just getting a really bad price to call. We also make more when we fold him out of the pot with a 4-bet. So a board that we have to be doing a lot of checks on. However, I think a small bet is still going to perform pretty well if we do it maybe even a little bit too frequently. I think in general, people are over-folding and under-raising this spot. Under check raising, that is. And I think our hand either way is going to be a pretty frequent bet in theory. So he does find the check raise, which, like I was saying, is a board that you want to be check raising pretty aggressively as the big blind. My hand is just a pure continue. We have a gut shot. We have some backdoor stuff. We have 2 overcards. It's just way too strong to consider folding. So when he check raises the flop, he's got sets, he's got 2 pairs, and then he's got some 6-7, some 3x's bluffs, he has some ace-3. So it makes sense for him to go polar on the turn if the bottom of his value betting range is going to be a hand like 2-pair. So we do open 6-8. However, I think we're folding that on the turn. I think the only 6-8 we would have is the 6-8 of diamonds. He can have a lot of 6-8 though. I think he's always jamming. I'm just trying to think if he checks to me if I'm bluffing this hand. Blocking diamonds isn't great, and I just have an easy fold, obviously, with queen high if he... Maybe if I had a queen high that wasn't blocking 6-7. Just kidding. I'm not brave enough to do something like that. And this line just puts all of our overpairs that rolled to bet the flop in a really uncomfortable spot, which is kind of what it's supposed to do. Not a pure 3-bet from under the... I didn't realize that guy was short stacked. I kind of like 3-betting that hand pure if he is. Yeah, I think all of our overpairs are mixing. 8-6 suited, that's another hand. I think it is an open from the cutoff. Actually, I don't think it is. My chart, something you might notice if you watch me play and you're kind of paying attention, is my preflop charts don't open a lot of like low suited connectors, and instead they choose to open excuse me. Instead they choose to open kind of some more suited king X or some offsuit Broadway type hands. And it really doesn't matter as long as you're using solid preflop charts. On an 87, I think 10s is still a fold here. I think like 90% plus is when we start cold 4-betting there with 10s. I know we do it at some super low frequency, but I think even 87 is too low to be cold 4-betting 10s there. So there's something in my throat. What was I saying? Oh yeah. A lot of beginner players, I'm guilty of this also. When they start playing poker, they kind of have this romantic fascination with those loose, low suited connected type hands like 5-6 suited, 4-5 suited. It's really cool. You open it under the gun, you flop like disguised straight, or you flop, you flop disguised trips or something. But what ends up happening a lot of times when you're in a big pot, we're talking when the pot goes all in, and you have a hand like that, you have a hand like 4-5, half the time when you get 4-5 all in with a straight, you've got the lower end of the straight. Or when you get it all in with a flush, you've got a lower flush. Or you get it all in on a board like 4-4, whatever, and you've got worse trips. They're just not that strong of hands. It's nice to have some nut coverage sometimes. Like it's nice to have 4-5 on for when the board does come ace 2-3. But a lot of times you're just in a really, really shit spot. So I think this is a board we would have leads on in theory, but I'm not playing any leads until middle position or under the gun. On this turn, we have a portion of our range that wants to bet small for protection, and then we have a portion of our range that wants to overbet, like some 2-pair straights. And you're probably wondering, well, you did neither of those, so what are you doing? I don't know. I kind of just bet a size that I thought my hand wanted to bet. I'm trying to think about where my hand would go in theory between the overbet, block size, or check. Gonna be pure 3-betting on table 1. So we like some protection against some King X and Ace X type hands. It's nice when they fold out. We don't want to bet too big and isolate ourselves to better Queen X. My hand might be checking a lot in theory. Let me just add that. Queen 7. So I'm not too sure how long I'm going to make these videos. I think between 45 minutes and an hour is good. Wow, look at this spot, guys. What did we learn earlier? We're applying our knowledge in real time right now. So for example, on this board, queens doesn't want to bet. We just want to check. We just want to get to showdown. Now, blind v blind, you could kind of just make an argument for betting really small with your entire range here, because ranges are just so wide. But I mean, we talked about it earlier, so I got to go with the theory line. Versus 3.5 middle position, I'm just gonna, he's 38 big blinds, 1 sec. Now we're just gonna jam. We're just hoping to get called by an ace. Not much more to say. On a 73, this might just be a fold. As far as turn sizing after the flop, if you think about what I was saying before, where our flop size is already representing our polar range. I'm just gonna bet a third here on table 2. If you think about our range on the flop, like we talked about, it's our strong ace X and really, really strong hands that want to bet and leverage our advantage on this board. When it comes to the turn now, we're still very polar in nature. We still just want to keep betting whenever, this is an important distinction actually. I'm betting my range on table 1 for small. When the turn doesn't make significant changes to either person's range, so for example, if the turn were a diamond, now we lost our advantage because the flush aspect just neutralized it because both of us have flushes in our range. Just calling here on table 1. He has some 9-10, he has some ace-10, he has some 4x, he should be 3-betting, or he should be check-raising. He has some jack-queen, queen-4, jack-4 suited. He has lots of flush draws. 4-5 gets there. There's some backdoor hearts too. We're still just calling 1. Yeah, on the turn here, when the turn is a brick, then we bet huge. We want to overbet in these spots because our strong hands are still strong and they don't want to see a bad river card. We have a big advantage now and we just want to put money in while we have that advantage. On the river, exact same concept. I guess 4-5 gets there. But that's also a hand that I would be barreling with. Ace-6 gets there. I think ace-6 is already folding the turn at some frequency, depending on the overbet size. But if you were 100 big blinds deep and my river bet were like 2x pot, we're still just jamming. And there's really nothing he can do about it. He just doesn't have strong hands. We have all the strong hands. He has to mix with his ace-x. Not a fun spot to be in as the big blind there. He has some snap folds with his diamonds and missed hearts. but he's pretty much mixing all of his bluff catchers. These are my labels, in case you were wondering. This is a pure 3-bet from the big blind. This is a pure call, I believe. So our hand is going to be doing some check raising on table 2. If he had bet smaller, I feel more inclined to check raise. When he bets bigger, it seems a little bit more value heavy. This is probably a card we could have leads on. I'm just going to simplify and not play leads. When he sizes up on the flop, away from what I think the standard 1/3 bet size is on this board, again, he might just be someone who only uses a big size. It makes me feel like he's already a little more value heavy. And on the river, we are having some overbets with our 3x advantage. I expect him to just have a queen a lot. Jack 8 snap. Okay, so it's good to know that he's the type of person who is sizing up with some bluffs on the flop too, so I will be check raising my hand. More frequently then. Gonna bet 10% with my range on this mono board. So obviously with the turn card, my hand goes down in value a lot. Although he doesn't have any offsuit ace-x. I guess he has ace-king off low frequency. I kind of just like 10% again. He has 9s and 8s that we can get value from. Problem is, he has a lot of pairs like jacks and 10s with a diamond that just improved. It's another bad river card. Jacks, no diamond? I don't even know what he could have. 7-8. Okay. Okay, I think this guy has earned the fish title. 7-8 suited is never a 4-bet or 3-bet. I don't think it's ever raising the turn. Gonna throw this in as a check raise on an 82. I don't think this is check raising at a super high frequency. That was not a call, that was a misclick. This is going great. I'm trying to think what size I want to use here. I'm just going to go as a default with overbet. I think my hand also wants to check a lot again, but on an 100 we'll bet it. I'm going to be betting a third here on a 78. We're doing a lot of 130. He should be doing a lot of checking, which is good. Okay, so he has some missed flush draws that are auto folds that we block, sort of. We block ace 4 and ace 3. He just has a lot of king X. I don't like my give up. Actually, I kind of do. I am not sure about that spot. So this went check. I'm gonna check. Did I already add it? 4-3. Yeah, I did. This went check call on the flop. I expect him to have a lot of just ace high, hoping to win against like ace queen or ace king. I think he should be betting a jack there. Almost certainly. I also think peeling the flop is definitely way too wide. This is like the type of hand that our third bet on the flop is folding out. So I think it's pretty ambitious of him to call. Is supposed to be folding out, rather. Another 3-bet here on table 1. I want to go back to that 4-3 hand. Okay. So on the flop, we're going to be check raising some king 9, some king 2, 2s, 9s, king queen at a low frequency. It's kind of our value range. And then we have our bluffs. 85 is still too low to open 3s in middle position. And we have our bluff range, which is going to consist of some flush draws. It's going to consist of some 2x, some 9x, blocking pocket 9s. I think that's a region that's probably underfound by most players. And then we have some gut shot, straight draws. That's kind of like our bluffing range. So on the turn, I was torn between normal bet and over bet. Our normal bet including king queen, and our over bet kind of isolating ourselves to 2 pair plus, like king 2 plus. Timed out on table 1. I think in the checking line now, we're following it up with a lot of checks on the turn. Just hoping to get to showdown versus ace queen. So yeah, but I don't think, back to the turn here, I don't think that we do want to bet king queen on the turn. I don't think it's strong enough to bet again. I guess he had ace queen. We'll check that after. Yeah, I think he just had ace queen. So, okay, so we're betting 2 pair plus, and we'll use an overbet size. And so I was thinking in game. Now he's folding his missed hearts. He's folding his 9x. He picks up some jack x. He picks up some jack x with a gut shot. Queen 10 gets there. I think my hand is checking at a pretty high frequency, just because when we do bet and get called and a flush card does come, we're getting flush over flushed a lot. So then on the river, he has a lot of king x. I'm going to check back on table 2. I think we need to have a checking range here, and I'm going to protect it with some of my weaker ace x. Kind of already hating life versus this. Yes, 6s, 5s, and 8s way more than we do. My hand is still too weak still too strong to consider folding, rather. Pick up a straight, so that's nice. He shouldn't have much 9x at all. He should basically only have pocket 9s. Gonna bet a size that any ace will call. Or do I want to size up and also get value from his 2-pair in sets? But I think they're mostly betting, so I think I just want to target an ace. Okay, anyways, what do you guys think? My thoughts for not bluffing are he has a lot of natural bluff catchers. We block some of his folds in ace-4, and he doesn't call ace-3 of spades. Even ace-4 of spades is super low frequency. I guess we're not blocking any folds. I guess we just have complete unblockers, and I should be bluffing. I think, yeah, this was a punt. I think this was a punt. We're not blocking any folds with my hand. And we have a pair of 4s. I think this should have been a bluff. And the other table timed out, so we can't see what he just had. And on that other hand, with the ace-king, he checked down, yeah, ace-queen. All right, I'll go until we get one more spot, and then call it a video. It's a few interesting hands though, so definitely let me know. I've come to the conclusion that not jamming that 4-3 suited was a punt. Let me know what you think. I think you could make arguments either way. But I do think that we're not blocking folds. And I think even if he did have ace-4 and ace-3 suited pure in his range, I'm still only blocking like 2 combos of hands. A 37 will fold 8s. Even though he 3-bet to 8 and we have 8s, it is still a fold. As much as you want to call. I mean, he's basically asking you to call. The flop's gonna have an 8 almost surely. Another board, I'm just betting with my range. I think in theory, we might have a small check back range here, but you can just simplify to betting with range. This board, you definitely cannot bet with your entire range. But I think people are not check raising enough and are overfolding, so I'm going to anyways. If you want to sue me, that's fine. Table 2, now I'm playing over better check. On an 80, I'll overbet. My hand is going to be doing a decent amount of checking though. So facing the lead. It's pretty easy all in. He's just super capped in this line. So I'm noticing there's a lot of dead air. One of my friends offered to edit these videos for me. Maybe just cut out the random moments of silence. On an 83 and he goes to 10 big blinds, actually has a pretty low 3-bet percentage. I'm just gonna fold my hand. Yeah, I might get this edited. Cut out the awkward moments. I was considering maybe playing 3 tables, although when there is stuff going on, it is hard to keep up with the action. There were a few times where I was having trouble explaining something in the replayer while 2 hands were going on. I timed out a few times as well. Another reason that I'm making these videos is I think it'll be useful for my coach to, for the same reasons I'm making them for myself, kind of identify where my thought processes might be wrong and which spots I need to work on, or which spots, you know, I'm thinking about in the wrong way, if I'm not considering factors that should be considered. If you guys are familiar with Help Me on YouTube, or if you know Jarrett Man on PokerStars, that's who I'm referring to. I would highly recommend, if you want coaching, to definitely reach out to him. He's been instrumental in my learning career. But that's part of the reason I'm playing 2 tables, is he's getting pretty old, and I do want him to be able to keep up with the action. So, you know, he's basically retired at this point. I don't want it to be too much for him. I think I want to bet small again on table 2. I think my hand's gonna is gonna mix between checking and betting small. I think we still want to. I think that we still want to be betting a size that our 2-pair can bet, which maybe they can bet slightly bigger. But I don't think we want to start only betting our flushes on the turn. I wonder. I don't think I'm ever 3-betting this hand. Maybe I am. It's a nice river. I'm gonna fold to the half pot on table 1. My hand is probably mixing. And now on table 2, no point in going huge. Kind of just want to go as small as possible. There's really only one hand here that I can have that raises, which is containing the ace of clubs. So I just want to put his king of clubs or queen of clubs in the most uncomfortable spot possible. And am I missing something? Straight flush. He could have 3-4. Oh man, this would be a way to end the video. I wonder if my hand is ever mixing. Oh, like what else is he jamming? I can't fold this on video. On an 87. I'm just gonna go with my hand is mixing and I have to call sometimes. Oh god. Well, that seems like a pretty good spot to end the video. I'm gonna sit out next big blind. Like, he's only representing one hand. Just weighing... I have this guy marked as a fish, so it's just weighing the chance that he has some kind of spaz bluff. I really think I'm just mixing there. That's a really shit spot. Here's another fun spot. Just getting it all in with queens. We're getting stacked by jacks or 9s. Either way, we just want to deny equity from all of his draws. Get it in versus ace jack or something too. Yeah, so we get it in with against the draw. All right. Not the best session, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. We had some interesting spots. Yeah, I'll hopefully be posting some videos soon. All right, peace out, guys.